Hey everyone, this is Nazgul2K1. Welcome back to a new episode of Nerd Rage. Today we're going to be taking a quick look at Paradox's newest release, Surviving the Aftermath. Now this just came out of early access on Epic Games and Steam. I have around 200 hours basically throughout the entire process. I've been a supporter and fan of this game since it first got announced because I love these type of games. You know, building a colony, having some fun, dealing with disasters and combat and things like that. These type of games were always my niche, if you will. I have it running at normal speed right now just so I can do this video, but normally I have it running at maximum speed, and we'll get into that later. Really quick, before we get any further, I'm going to give you the too long didn't read version. The game's okay, but after the midpoint, the game nosedives in quality and gameplay. That is the TLDR version. No spoilers, there it is. And now we're going to count 5 seconds, and I'm going to start the spoilers. So if you don't want to hear anything about the intricate workings of the game, go ahead and turn this off, and I'll see you on the next episode. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Alright, here we go. Here's the spoiler section, folks. Alright, the hardest part of this game is the first couple of hours. It's completely backwards in how you think a video game should work, where the game starts off easy and then gets harder towards the end. This is the exact opposite. It starts off really difficult, and the second you get over that initial hump, you're done. The game's over. You won. There's nothing in this game that this game can throw at me right now that could even remotely challenge me. Nothing. The the colony doesn't get attacked per se. It's just some bandits will show up at the gate here and be like, "Rah, we're gonna fight." But the gate usually takes them out once you've upgraded it. And the one time that they did get through, I have 2 guard towers here with 6 people armed with assault rifles, and they just mow them down. So I have no defense worries about my colony. The only other defense option is if like a wild animal attacks or like a mutant creature attacks. But I've already cleared the entire map of those, and it wasn't very difficult. So my colony is 100% secure. So we come to the only other way this game has to threaten my colony, which is the natural disasters. Each natural disaster has its own counter. So, like, if you get a heat wave, it's going to suck up a bunch of your water. So, as long as you have ridiculous water storage, like I do here, as you can see, I have over 17,000 rations of water for 179 people. This game can't throw a drought at me long enough. I can take 6 months real life time of a drought and never run out of water. So like another one is a pandemic. Everybody gets the flu or whatever. Again, I've got that covered. I've got 2 hospitals able to treat 6 people at a time in like 5 seconds per. So within 30 seconds, I've treated 6 people for whatever they happen to be, either radiation sickness, which is another disaster, or pandemic, which is another disaster. I could treat them quickly, and I've got 2 of them just in case. So those are completely nullified. I have zero fear of those. What's the other one? Magnetic storm is another one where like all of your power producing buildings stop working, which I'm not quite sure how and why a lightning bolt stops a windmill from spinning, but we're gonna roll with it because it's their game. But the game says, "Oh, well, these will stop working, but if you have batteries, you'll still have power to your colony." So I just built a whole crap ton of batteries, and as you can see, I have almost 30,000 power in storage. I can take the world's longest magnetic storm you've ever seen. Plus, in case of the random bolts, they give you lightning towers so your buildings don't get damaged. So as you can see here, my major production buildings are protected. The other one that's really, really prevalent, which is happening right now, is wintertime. Now, wintertime in the early game is devastating. It can really end your run very quickly because of heating your colonists. But of course, the game gives you burners for the early game. This is a boosted version. But you just basically burn firewood, and it gives out these little rings that you can see here really clearly. These are superheated and, nobody in there is in danger of hypothermia. These white circles are partially heated, so there's a risk for hypothermia, but it's very small. And there's more going up here. This one here is the industrial radiator. It's just a super huge red circle with no white circle. But even if you had none of those and you were really worried about your colonists, the game gives you heated houses. So you just turn the heat on at the houses and you're done. So by the mid game, you've already researched everything you need to beat anything this game throws at you. The main thing is food. And these buildings here, which are frozen right now, and I could not possibly care less, are the most OP broken food producing unit I've ever seen. At one point, I had over 9,000 fish, and I stopped gathering it. You can see I put a production limit of 1,500 because it was filling all of my storage containers with fish. And I was using that to trade with the other factions. You could literally pay for everything. I was paying for everything in fresh fish. I still mostly pay for everything in fresh fish. And fish is worth like 7 or 3 to, is it 3 or 5? Let's double check. I think it's 3. Oh, I can't. Dang it. I got 2 you're only allowed to have 2 trades running at a time, which I think is kind of silly, but it's their game. Where was I? Oh, yes. So the gameplay itself, I'm done playing this game. I'm done. And the game's not over yet, but I am effectively removed from the game. I have absolutely no reason to interact with any of this. Anything that might happen is either covered by the maintenance depot, covered by my buildings, or it's covered by the gameplay mechanics itself. So my interaction with the overall game is next to zero, unless I just, am tired of seeing like these particular things here. Look, I got 2 colonists that are homeless. Oh, how do I fix that? Oh, I know. There's a tent up here. Let's upgrade this tent out in the middle of nowhere just because I don't feel like dealing with building another house. So we've already established now that the game doesn't want me to play. And that's exactly what it is. The game doesn't want you to play it. The overworld map, which I'm not going to show here, I'll leave a little bit to mystery, and if you really want to see it that bad, you can go freaking view any other YouTube video. The overland map is where these specialists here come in. And these guys at the top of the screen. You can pick them up with survivor groups, or you can recruit them specifically for cash. There's my cash. Again, I have tons of it because I was paying for everything in fish, and every time I paid for the fish, I'd take all of their money that they had available to spend on trading. So if the item I wanted was 50, but they had 800 in cash, I'd literally sell them so much fish that I'd get the 50 items and the 800 in cash because I had to get rid of this fish. But the game itself, these specialists here, in the early game, are very important. You're running through the map, you're grabbing necessary resources, you're clearing out paths for you to discover these other societies. And that's one of the main pillars of the game. You have to find all these to get the best trading deals. And you need it for the colony's survival. But then we come to where the game starts going downhill, and it's where they put a story in. And the story itself is pretty interesting. I'm not going to lie. You're not looking at, the Witcher 3 level of writing here, guys. You're getting just like almost the bare minimum. But you want to build a doomsday bunker because reasons. They don't even really give you a reason. They're just like, oh, it's very apparent we need a doomsday bunker. And I'm like, why? I thought the whole point of me doing this was that I didn't need to live in a doomsday bunker anymore. I was trying to rebuild humanity after the nuclear bombs. So it kind of contradicts itself story-wise. But this stupid doomsday bunker is the biggest drag on the gameplay that I have ever seen. These percentages at the top of the screen here, which I'm actually doing pretty good, As you can see, the production of them is halted right now. And I have that done on purpose for this review, so I don't have a bunch of pop-ups flopping on the screen. But basically, there's a thing on the overland map where I just got to go build 2 engineers on a desert biome, which is no problem. But as far as these specialists themselves, again, once you've discovered the map and you've found the 5 societies and you've got good trade running and you've got the outpost built on like certain items, these specialists become useless. They're literally just a waste of your time. They serve no purpose to the colony. Excellent. Here, let's go through this really quick. This is an example of what they call combat. So you click this, and you can give them stuff, which is no, and then you can tell them there's none to spare, or you can tell them threats are not tolerated. Now, these events repeat over and over again. So I know this event. I've gotten it like 20 times. If you give them the supplies, you take negative happiness to your colony because you're bowing down to the mercenaries. If you don't give them supplies, if you say there's none to spare, they'll injure one of your colonists and you'll take a happiness penalty. If you tell them threats aren't tolerated, they'll injure 2 of your colonists and you'll take a bigger happiness penalty. So no matter what you do, you're taking a happiness penalty. There's no way to, go with this where it doesn't suck. So I always just tell them there's none to spare. You're going to injure one of my colonists and give me 10 happiness. I don't care. Go away. You're literally wasting my time with this. Just have an event pop up that says mercenaries show up minus 10 happiness. But it doesn't matter because my colonists are, super, super happy as it is from all my entertainment venues. So that's basically what an event looks like. That you literally just saw it. That's what all the events look like. They just a little pop-ups, a little text blurb, that's it. So coming back to the specialists. Eventually you get a quest, and this is, like I said, this is exactly where the game just goes downhill on rails. You get a quest to build this bunker, which is fine in the first stage. But in the second stage, they want you to research the necessary, I guess you can call it pillars, in order to support the bunker, which is these percentages up here. And this is the biggest drag of your life that you will ever see. I'm getting 2% every 24 hours. To give you an idea, go back to the start of this video and watch this green circle fill up. 2 rotations of this green circle filling up is 24 hours. You're just sitting here waiting for these numbers to count up, or for it to say production halted, go do some random thing so you can continue watching the numbers climb. So we've now established I have nothing to do but sit here and watch numbers climb up. I don't have to interact with my colony. I don't have to interact with my world map. I don't have to interact with the other factions. I can just sit here. I just sit here. And it's just terrible. And even these little quests they give you, see this little purple icon here in the center? They give you these little quests where you can take it. So let's click one. It's like, wow, there's raider activity. You should go do something about it. And I'm like, if you take the quest, the only thing you get for it, you have to send your specialists out in the world map, go kill the raiders, which basically just means you go send the specialists to the raider camp, and then stand there and wait for the numbers to tick down. And then you'll get a bunch of supplies, which I don't need. I haven't needed for hours and hours and hours. So I don't want to take this. I don't want to do this. The raiders can go fuck themselves for all I care. So what do? What does the game say? Well, you can take down the raiders or abandon the quest. Well, surely abandoning the quest and leaving these raiders running around unchecked is going to be a huge blow to my colony, right? Wrong. It does absolutely nothing. It just says, oh, okay, whatever, fine. And then you hit done. I take no penalty to my happiness. There's no extra attacks on my colony. There's nothing. There's no penalty for turning down the optional quests. Or I guess you can call them the secondary quests. There's no penalty for it. So I don't even have to do those. I just sit here. And the game is throwing these at you under the illusion of giving you something to do. When in actuality, there's nothing to do. because you don't have to do them. If you have to do them, then that's something to do. It's like, wow, I've got to deal with this, or my colony's going to suffer long term. That's not the case. There's no effect on your colony whatsoever for not doing them. There's no effect on your social interactions with the other factions for not doing them. There's nothing. You just sit here and you stare at the screen for hours and hours and hours and hours, waiting for these numbers to tick up at 1% every day. And it's so unbelievably boring. It's tedious beyond belief. My opinion, final verdict, play this game until you get about the midway point. Play it till you get to about the midway point. When your colony looks like this, shut it off. You're done. You won. You don't have to sit through all this boring, tedious crap unless you're a sadomasochist and you just want to finish it. I'm totally going to finish it. But at this point, you've won. The game has nothing to throw at you to take down your colony. There's nothing this game can do to stop my colony. I've won. There's nothing they can do. And it's just kind of sad. You're sitting there waiting for this challenge that never comes. The game spikes at the beginning of the game and it just goes downhill in difficulty, storyline, gameplay mechanics. It all goes downhill from there. It's like they focused all their attention on like the first 10 hours, and after that, they just went, okay, whatever, we're done. And it's just it disappoints me a lot. This main storyline quest was not in the early access, so nobody could feedback it and tell them how bad this was. But a lot of people are saying the same thing. This is terrible. This should not be in the game. This should be way shorter. I mean, you're just padding time now to try and give the illusion that your customers have gotten something for their money. Oh man, it took me 20 hours to beat this, man. I paid $25. I got a good deal for my money. No. No. You beat the game 10 hours in. If your colony is alive and I run at max speed, if your colony is alive 10 hours in running at max speed nonstop, you've won. That's it. Your game is over. The rest of it, you're just sitting here reading some text, doing random dumb shit for these numbers to tick up. That's it. That's it. As long as these numbers are ticking up, the game's over. And it's just, I have nothing that they could throw at me that I can't conquer. So my game's over. But that's basically what you're dealing with here, guys. I don't want to ramble on too long. I know it's been a while since I put a video up. But I wanted to give you all a heads up for future. We also have some more content coming to the channel. For those of you who aren't familiar, I do a lot of tabletop wargaming. And our next game we're going to be focusing on, there's two of them. We're going to be taking a look at Flames of War, 4th edition, and we're going to be taking a look at Conquest, the Last Argument of Kings. Now, there's not a lot of videos for either one of these games on YouTube. There really isn't, and especially not recent ones. We noticed really quickly that Conquest, the Last Argument of Kings, there's quite a few videos of gameplay, but most of them are like the starter sets or like little tiny 500-point games where it's just there's no strategy. It's just plop the guys on the field, run them straight at the other guys, and see what happens. So we decided that we're not going to be doing that. We're going to have a full 2,000-point game right from the jump. For Flames of War, the standard game size now is 100 points. So we're going to be doing one of those as well at full-size 100-point games. So that's just something you all can look forward to. We're working on it. I swear it's coming soon. Stay tuned. Thank you guys for watching. And this is Nazgul 2K1, and I am signing off.